Hey, church family, it's Pastor Jeremiah here. What a great weekend we had hearing about Sabbath, and hopefully you have some nuggets that you're taking away with you from the message. I want to talk to you a little bit about what a practice of Sabbath might look like. For some of you, that might be totally new and strange, and maybe for others, you might have some religious baggage around that. But I want to just encourage you, this is a practice of Jesus. This practice of Sabbath is rooted in 2,000 years of Christian tradition. It's rooted in 3,300 years of our Jewish roots. But really, Sabbath is a theme that's woven throughout the scriptures, from Genesis to Revelation. Sabbath is Hebrew for Shabbat, which means to stop. It could also mean to delight. And before the Sabbath was ever mandated to the Israelites, it was modeled by God as a pattern. So what does God do after the sixth day of creation? He makes the seventh day, and he stops and delights in his creation. God rested on the seventh day. That word rested is Shabbat. And God not only stopped working, but he blessed the seventh day and set it apart. He made it holy. So here's a question. If God rested and created a special day in creation, don't you think we ought to follow that pattern of his? And if you knew that God had a blessing and a gift for you, wouldn't you want to receive it? Practicing a Sabbath is a gift from God. It's exactly what Jesus affirmed in Mark chapter 2, verse 27. Jesus was speaking to the religious leaders, and he said, "The Sabbath was made for mankind, and not mankind for the Sabbath." And it's a gift for us. And like the ancient Israelites, who were delivered out of Egypt from slavery, we live in a world of slave drivers called screens, speed, and social media. And in a world that never stops and never shuts off. The Sabbath is kind of like a governor for the speed of life for our soul. We were created to give our devotion and our attention to God, but we first need to slow down, and Sabbath helps us to slow down. Have you ever been to a massage therapist and they said, "Hey, just relax," because the muscles need to relax in order to receive the healing benefits of the massage? Sabbath helps us to relax and receive the healing benefits of God's amazing grace. So you might be asking, okay, how do I practice a Sabbath? I've never done it before. Where, when, how? Jewish people observe Sabbath from Friday night to Saturday night. For many Christians around the world, their Sabbath is on Sundays, but maybe those 2 days don't work for your life or your schedule. I want to encourage you to pick one 24-hour period to practice Sabbath. If you can't do 24 hours, start with half a day, but I do encourage you to work towards a full day that's different than the rest of your week. And here's a grid as you consider what Sabbath could look like for you. Rest and worship. Ask yourself, does this bring me rest? And will this bring me to worship God? Will it bring me closer to him? So really the golden rule for a Sabbath is to disengage from the have-tos and engage intentionally in the get-tos. So what are your typical have-tos in a given week? Think about anything in your life that drives you, defines you, or controls you. That is where you'll find your have-tos. Here are some examples of some have-tos that you might want to disengage from on a Sabbath. Don't check your emails. Leave your phones off. That's a scary one. Leave the house chores for another day. Don't run to errands. Don't go to the mall and spend all your money. What is the one have-to that you can stop and disengage from this week? I want you to think about that question for you. On the other hand, not only about the have-tos, but what about the get-tos? What would you want to engage with? Think about what brings you rest and joy. What brings God glory through you? You know, John Piper, he said, God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him. So what and where do you delight? Where do you get satisfaction in God and his creation? Where's your happy place? Is it the beach, the mountains? Go there. I have a friend, he's an extrovert. He loves going to theme parks, and that's where he connects with God. If that's you, beautiful. If you're more of an introvert like me, maybe you enjoy time alone. So here are some suggestions. Take a walk in nature. Read a good novel. Take a nap. Go for coffee with a friend. Some weeks you'll want to connect in community with Sabbath, and other weeks you may need alone time. Just think of Sabbath as your date night with God, but for a whole day. So here's the question to consider for this. What is the one get-to that you can engage with? What could you do for one day a week that would fill your soul with deep joy? So, remember, this is about practice, not perfection. I want to encourage you, make one small change to not be driven by your work and culture so you can practice getting to rest, delight, and worship God. God created and blessed the Sabbath for us. So let's enter in and enjoy his blessing.